January 2005, NASA launched a unique probe into space. Its mission was to find out where the water came from on Earth. This probe, called Deep Impact, travels 27 core kilometers and reaches near a comet. And many secrets were hidden in this comet, which had been being searched for centuries. Welcome to Historical Facts TV's videos once again. Viewers, there is only one place in the entire universe where human beings can live. It feels like the Earth has been made for humans. All those things that are considered very important for life are present here. Water, food, and oxygen. Whether there is another such planet in such a vast and giant universe or not, but for now we only know of Earth, where humans can live without any help. But 5 billion years ago there was no existence of Earth. The place where the Earth and our solar system are present today is the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. When our planet was not there, there used to be a very big cloud here, a cloud that was only filled with soil and gases. After all, what happened in this cloud that it turned into a planet? The same planet where we live today. This cloud of soil and gases is called a molecular cloud. There were dust particles in this cloud, which also contained the atoms of sand, silicon, and various metals. The creation of this cloud was due to various dead stars. In the early days of the universe, the stars that burned all their fuel, they burst. And because of the explosion, their ashes spread around the universe. They are not like the clouds in the sky, but they look like some of them, which were captured with the help of the Hubble Space Telescope. Surprisingly, this cloud was as big as 100 light years. That is, if a light starts to travel from one corner of it, it will take 100 years to reach the other corner of the molecular cloud. In simple words, the distance between the Sun and the Earth, this is the cloud from which new stars and planets are formed. And the force that makes stars and planets out of this cloud is gravity. Yes, the same gravity that does not exist in space, but it is generated. In space, two objects are attached to each other due to their own gravity or attract each other. The object that has more mass will also have more gravity. The particles of the molecular cloud were attached to each other due to this gravity. The big particles started attracting the small particles. These particles started colliding with each other very quickly. And because of this, energy was generated, which heated the center of the spinning cloud. This process continued for the next millions of years. And the core of the molecular cloud kept getting bigger, started spinning faster, and got hotter. And after a while, this huge fireball became our sun. The remaining molecular cloud started spinning around this sun. The planets of the solar system, life, and the moon around those planets will be formed from the particles and gases present in it. But how? This was a mystery, but not anymore. For the first time, a hypothesis about the formation of a star, i.e. the sun, from a molecular cloud, was presented in the 1700s by German philosopher Immanuel Kant and French scholar Pierre Simon. But at that time this was just an idea. After that, between 1920 and 1950, when telescopes started getting very advanced, astronomers saw many such dust clouds in space with their own eyes, in which new stars are born. But it was not possible to see inside these clouds with the help of a telescope. Then between 1970 and 1980, the inventions of radio and infrared telescopes also solved this problem. Now it became possible to see inside these clouds of dust and gases. Astronomers saw new stars forming inside the molecular clouds with the help of infrared telescopes. This proved that new stars are born inside the molecular clouds and later become planets from the remaining particles of the cloud. But how does this process start? First, many ideas were floated about it, but then in March 2003, an experiment was done at the International Space Station which answered this question centuries ago. Astronaut Don Pettit wanted to experiment with different things present in the ISS and see how these things behave in space. He made water bubbles and put dissolving tablets inside them. He made colorful water bubbles and put salt in a plastic bag and spun it. The purpose of these experiments was something else, but his last experiment answered the centuries-old question. When salt was put in a plastic bag, the salt particles stuck to each other after a while. Because these particles attract each other in space. Scientists believe that inside the molecular cloud, the small and large particles, which were rotating in the same direction around the sun, joined together like salt. And this is where the planets began to form. About 4.5 billion years ago, in the same way in the molecular cloud, the particles joined together to form a cluster. Just like in Don Pettit's experiment, the salt particles were joining together. When the size of this cluster grew to 1 kilometer, that is, the size of a mountain, its own gravity became so great that it began to attract the particles around it. Just like a vacuum cleaner sucks dirt into itself. This process continued for the next 300,000 years, and 20 planets emerged from the cluster of particles that were all revolving around the sun. Now, because these 20 planets had grown quite a bit, their own gravity began to attract each other during the orbit. And finally they began to collide with each other. In each collision, two planets joined together to form a large planet. With time, due to these collisions, where there were 20 planets in the solar system before, now there are only a few planets left, including Venus, Mercury, Mars, and our Earth. But this Earth was not so blue and full of life at that time. Rather, due to these collisions, the fire was very hot like a fireball. Astronomers believe that it took the Earth about 3 billion years to reach this point. At that time, the temperature of the Earth was about 5,000 degrees Celsius. That is, even if a living organism came here at this point, it would die in less than a second. The effects of life on Earth will only occur when its temperature drops. But as long as it was cold, it still had to face the biggest threat to its existence. Solar storm, yes, when the rays coming out of the sun enter a planet, they cause a lot of damage to its atmosphere. These solar storms also come to other planets, and because of this, it is not possible for life to grow here. There is no need to go too far. Mars, which is the neighboring planet of Earth, has been destroyed by solar storms. But how did the Earth fight these solar storms? Its secret is hidden in the core of the Earth. When the Earth began to form in the molecular cloud, its temperature increased a lot. This temperature turned the Earth into a fireball. The stones melted and the iron and nickel present in them. Now, because iron and nickel are very heavy, they began to fall into the core of the Earth. Geophysicists believe that whenever molten iron is rotated, it forms a magnetic field around itself. Now, because there is a lot of molten iron in the core of the Earth, it generates a magnetic field. And as far as this magnetic field is affected in space, it is called a magnetosphere. Normally, this magnetic field is spread 370,000 kilometers on the side of the Earth that faces the Sun. That is, as far as the Moon is, and in the side that is not facing the Sun, the magnetic field of the Earth spreads to millions of kilometers. This is why the radiation emitted by the Sun is stopped by the magnetic field. If this magnetic field is less on the north and south poles, then this radiation enters the atmosphere and creates an aurora effect along with the particles, which we also call northern and southern lights. But this radiation is so low that there is no harm in it. The new Earth, which faced solar storms, was not yet perfect for life. The Earth had to go through another most difficult stage: a planet collision. How did we humans find out about this? We have to go back to the 1960s. America planned many Apollo missions and sent astronauts to the Moon for research. At first, it was believed that the Moon was a piece of Earth that for some reason separated from Earth. But when astronauts went to the Moon and brought some samples of stones there, these stones did not look like the stones found on Earth. It seems that these stones have been burned. Further investigation revealed that the oxygen isotopes present in the Moon and Earth stones are the same, which proves that the Moon was first a part of Earth. But a lot of heat has made it like this. So much heat can only create one thing, and that is the collision of another planet. When the Earth was slowly cooling down, another planet began to move towards Earth. This planet was about the size of Mars and it has been named Theia. When Theia collided with Earth, a lot of energy was released. The burning pieces of Earth and Theia spread in the sky and finally began to orbit the Earth. These pieces orbiting the Earth continued to connect with each other in the same way for thousands of years as particles were connected in the molecular cloud. And this is how the Moon was born. Earlier, the Moon was very close to Earth. Experts say that as far as we can see the Moon now, earlier it was 15 times bigger. But slowly, it is moving away from Earth at a distance of about 1.5 inches per year. Let me tell you here that the collision of Theia with Earth and the birth of the Moon were the two events due to which we are in this world today. Scientists believe that if these two events did not happen, life would never have come to Earth. But how? When a planet the size of Mars collided with Earth, it bent the Earth to one side. It tilted it a little. Earth, which was rotating on its axis earlier, now tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees. And this tilt gave Earth different kinds of weather. As you know, a full rotation of the Earth shows a day and a full circle around the Sun shows a year. Now, because Earth is bent at 23.5 degrees, the months of the year when the northern hemisphere is closer to the Sun, it is the season of summers here. And in winters, this part of the Earth moves away from the Sun. Because of this tilt, the Earth's surface does not get as warm or cold throughout the year. Because of this changing weather, we get to eat different fruits and vegetables. Different colors can be seen throughout the year, and because of the cycle of rain in the monsoon, clean drinking water is obtained through rivers. In addition to this, sea waves are also formed due to the formation of the Moon. These waves provide nutrients for marine life, because if there were no waves, nutrients in the sea would only remain in a few spots. But here the question arises that waves will form in the sea only when there is water on Earth, which is the most important thing in life. So where did the water come from on Earth? This has been the biggest mystery for the scientific community. In January 2005, NASA launched a probe called Deep Impact into space. It was sent to a comet called Tempel 1, 27 million kilometers away. A 350 kilograms copper impactor was placed in front of this probe, which had to collide with Tempel 1. On July 4, 2005, this impactor collided with Tempel 1 comet at a speed of 38,000 kilometers per hour and made a huge crater. This impact was captured by radio telescopes on the Deep Impact probe. And what this telescope showed was really quite amazing. The light that came out of the collision was analyzed by spectroscopy, and it was found that water was filled in the form of ice inside Tempel 1. Now it has been proven that there is water in the comets in the asteroid belt, which is very far from the Sun. But how did these comets leave their orbit and come to Earth, and that too in millions? Experts believe that only the largest planet in our solar system can do this. Jupiter. Yes, Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and obviously its gravity is many times greater than that of Earth. And the special thing about it is that it orbits very close to the asteroid belt. Astronomers believe that in the past, all the large-sized comets and asteroids present in the asteroid belt were converted by Jupiter's gravity into an elliptical orbit. A normal circular orbit is when asteroids are circling around the Sun in a perfect circle. But when Jupiter's gravity attracted them to its side, they left their circular orbit and went into an oval-shaped orbit, which is called an elliptical orbit. And in the meantime, when they came in the way of Earth, gravity pulled them to Earth. Geologists believe that water was not on Earth in the beginning, but it came here 50 billion years after the birth of Earth. But how did we know this? Zircon is a mineral found in stones, and water is very important for its formation. And because it also contains uranium oxides, its age can be determined with the help of radioactive decay. All the age samples of zircon present on Earth so far show that they were formed 4 billion years ago, i.e. 50 billion years after the birth of Earth. The birth of Earth from the molecular cloud, the collision of the largest galaxies on Mars, the tilt of the Earth, and the formation of waves in the sea due to the Moon, the discovery of water on Earth due to Jupiter millions of kilometers away, the effects of life seem to be getting better. To this extent, the temperature of the Earth had dropped to a considerable extent, up to about 100 degrees Celsius, but the most important thing for life was still not on Earth: oxygen. So now you tell me in the comments section, how did oxygen come into the Earth's atmosphere? I hope you will subscribe, like, and share this video of Historical Facts TV. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next great video.